Luka Doncic had 33 points, but 15 of them in the fourth quarter. And the Dallas basketball team, in a game that was never in double digits either way, it was a close game at all points. But Luka Doncic had 33 points. Dallas ends up getting a 3-point road win, 108-105 over the Minnesota basketball team, game one of the Western Finals. The Mavericks trailed by 4. It's not a lot, but they trailed by 4 with 3:37 to go after Anthony Edwards had made a 3-point shot. But then Dallas goes on an 8-0 run to turn the game around in the final minutes, and they end up holding on and winning the game. So let us discuss the question. Better story in the losing locker room. Who gets the biggest part of the Juicy Lucy of blame for the Timberwolves? So I've got Dragon, Fat Farm, and Liberty. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a pontoon boat because it looked like the Minnesota basketball team was on a pontoon boat, kind of floating away there. So I heard this years ago. I think it's appropriate here. The fish rots from the head down. So apparently does a Timberwolf. This one, not that hard to dissect. Anthony Edwards getting the double Juicy Lucy of blame and shame. Edwards, we like to talk. We're all about the talk. We do talk radio. But Anthony Edwards wrote one of those oversized cartoon checks, and he could not cash the check that he wrote. He was buried in quicksand for game one. Anthony Edwards, he played the role of the dragon, but he was the dragon as in terms of dragon breath, foul smelling. He had 19 points, took 16 shots for Michael Jordan 2.0, the basketball pundits have told us. Did not have a higher gear here. And while Anthony Edwards is the headliner and he sucked the most, there's plenty of suckage to go around. How about Karl Anthony Towns? He had a seat in the vomit comet. Karl Anthony Towns, 6 of 20 from the floor, a pedestrian stat line. And Minnesota, who dominated from outside, they had a plus 36-point advantage from three-point range, which I'm told is pretty good. Ended up losing the game. Anyway, why did they do that? Well, in part because Karl Anthony Towns and defensive stalwart Rudy Gobert did not do their job in the painted area. Dallas had a plus 24 advantage. The Mavericks, plus 24 points in the paint, outscoring the Timberwolves 62-38. This game, in that regard, was a boondoggle for Minnesota. It was. But wait, there's more. Page 2 here. We have the sound bite of the night. It's Anthony Edwards of your Minnesota basketball team commenting on what went wrong for the Wolves. Take a listen.
Did you think that the high from Game 7 maybe kind of affected you guys coming into today at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, y'all can see it was a step behind everybody, especially myself. Kyrie got a transition layup from, I think we scored, and he just outran me. I was just exhausted, man. So, yeah, for sure. But we'll be all right.
All right, that's a different soundbite. But he said, the quote I was looking for, he said, "We were just a little tired," probably, was the actual quote I was trying to get. I don't know why we got that one. Anyway, Anthony Edwards, he did say, trust me, he said it. He said the Wolves were tired. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Do you find this significant? Do you find it significant? So I am going to go thumbs up on this. And I would say that particular quote, which you didn't hear for some reason, it's game one. The Wolves had a couple of nights off, right? They played on Sunday. Game 7 was on Sunday, unless my math is wrong on that. I believe it was. So they had Monday and Tuesday off. They were at home, so they didn't have to travel anywhere. Not that that would be a problem. And it's not just Anthony Edwards, it's the entire NBA community. If you were watching the TNT broadcast, Reggie Miller, I think he pulled a muscle as he was desperately trying to defend Anthony Edwards. He earned his stripes, Reggie Miller did, in the excuse department. Going back and forth, at one point, it was he's tired. He said that a lot. That was the main excuse. He's tired. And then there was also like some phantom injury at one point. Then he made a shot, so Reggie had to take that back. I thought the whole thing was nauseating. And you have to ask the question, like, if you're going to use the tired excuse, like, what are you doing? Anthony Edwards is 22 years old. And the basketball media, which love to make excuses when guys don't play well, it's never they just have a bad game. It's always they're hurt, they're tired, they're this, they're that, the other. But he was being treated, Anthony Edwards, like an escapee from a fat farm. This is not Oliver Miller or Zion Williamson, and there's no excuse for being tired. Go out, get some of that turbocharged Red Bull or whatever you use there, and go for it. All right, now last word here. So there's another bubbling storyline from the Dallas-Minnesota game. It involves Kyrieirving, who claimed that he used the "I got Kyrie" quote from Anthony Edwards as motivation. Now, he said it kind of in a dismissive way because he was asked about it, but he claimed that he did use that as motivation. Now, Charles Barkley made a big deal about this, implying that the stat line by Kyrie Irving in this game was directly related to the commentary by Anthony Edwards. Does all of that work for you? Does all of that work for you? And the answer is absolutely not. Right? There is no correlation. Right? There is no correlation. This is the man who shot Liberty Valance situation. Right? When the legend becomes the fact, you print the legend. Now, let me give you my evidence here. Well, you can't say that. Kyrie Irving said that he used that as motivation. You can't say no to that. I will. And listen. And take notes. I'll give you my evidence, okay? My eyeballs and my bifocals. That's my evidence. Now, Kyrie came out gangbusters at the start of the game, right? Kyrie came out, Uncle Drew, 11 of 14 from the floor, 24 points. He was a maestro in the first half. So what happened at halftime? What happened? He came out in the second half, and he was guilty of truancy. He played like a dingleberry. So does that mean he no longer was motivated by "I got Kyrie"? That only inspired him for half the game. It didn't inspire him for the second half? Explain that. Kyrie Irving, after halftime, took 9 shots. He made one more shot than you did and one more shot than I did. One shot he made, 1 of 9. Only had 6 points in the second half. And in the fourth quarter, he took 6 shots. Didn't make a single shot in the fourth quarter. But I got Kyrie. He was motivated by that. But he wasn't motivated in the fourth quarter. He was bailed out by Luka. He was absolutely bailed out. But this is what I always go back to. Like the whole bulletin board stuff, it doesn't work. It doesn't apply here. And it didn't apply in this moment either. It's one of those things. It's a good storyline, so you go with it. You're like, yeah, that's it. I got Kyrie. Anthony Edwards didn't play well. Minnesota didn't play well. If I'm Dallas, I'm not feeling particularly good right now because the Wolves played a bad game and still had a shot to win the game in the final minutes. Like, they're not going to play that way in game 2, Minnesota. So I wouldn't feel too good if I was Dallas. But as far as the whole motivational tactic, the Anthony Edwards, "I got Kyrie" quote, motivating Kyrie, even though he was being polite with the media and said it did. It obviously didn't matter in the second half of that game as Kyrie Irving was an absolute non-factor at that point.